I know this is unexpected, but I see you, Reyna. I am not going anywhere. Take all the time you need. I will still be here.
Drake, I'm expecting a baby. I will always be enough for both of us.
He was not there for the pregnancy, no check-ups, no baby shopping, nothing. My mother came, she bought everything, she painted the baby room, she cooked for me. On the night my back hurt and I could not sleep, Drake was in the next room on his phone. My mother sat beside me in the dark. She held my hand. She did not say one bad word about to Drake. She just stayed, and sometimes staying is the most powerful thing a person can do. Baby Kian came on a rainy Tuesday morning. I delivered with only my mother beside me. Drake came later that afternoon. He held the baby briefly for a photograph. Then he put him down and checked his phone. I watched this from the hospital bed. Then I looked at my son's little face and I decided right there in that hospital room, this child will never feel unseen, not one single day of his life. I raised Kian almost completely alone. Every night feed, every song, every step, every milestone. Drake only held his son when there was someone watching.
Baby.
Mama.
Kian's first word was Mama. His first step was toward me. Drake was not home for either of those moments, but I was. I was always there. As Kian's first birthday came,
Please sit down. I need another woman to act as my wife. You should stay inside.
No, absolutely not.
Drake sat me down. He said some of his friends who did not know me would be at the party. He wanted another woman, a more attractive woman, to stand beside him to carry our son, to be introduced as his wife. He wanted me to stay inside for my own son's birthday. I looked at him and I said no, no. That same night, he came to me in the dark. He sat on the edge of the bed. He spoke quietly, coldly. If you will not allow another woman to represent you, there will be no birthday party, no cake, no guests, nothing for care, all because of your face. I lie in that dark, listening to those words. Tears ran down my face silently into my pillow. Then I said, fine, do the party, I will stay inside. Because what I would not do was let my son suffer for my pain. What kind of mother would I be if I did that? The compound was decorated beautiful, music was playing, guests were laughing. My baby boy was dressed in a tiny suit. He looked so beautiful, and Drake was standing there holding him beside another woman, a woman he introduced as his wife. I was inside in my room alone. I looked through this curtain. I watched a stranger hold my child. I watched my husband smile, the smile he never gave me. I watched people congratulating a woman who had nothing to do with the baby they were celebrating. And I cried deeply, quietly, with my hand pressed over my mouth, so nobody outside could hear me, because the party had to go on, even if I was breaking behind the curtain alone. My mother came. She did not go outside. She came straight to my room. She found me sitting on the floor beside the bed, with dry tears on my face. She sat down beside me on the floor. She did not say anything immediately. She just sat. Then, after a long silence, she said, your father saw you. He always saw you. One day, the whole world will see what he was. I leaned my head on my mother's shoulder. Outside, the music played on, and I sat on the floor and I held on to those words like they were the only thing keeping me together, because they really were. Drake started bringing papers. He wanted me to sign my father's company, my father's houses, everything into his name. I read every document. I put them down and I said no. That is when the mask finally came off completely. He told me the truth for the first time, the real truth. He said, I married you because I believe everything your father built will become mine. That was always the plan. I sat very still, hearing those words out loud. The thing I had suspected but never wanted to believe felt like something cold moving through my chest. I looked at him and I said, get out of this room. He left. And I sat there in that room alone, finally understanding everything. He stopped pretending after that. He stayed away for 2 days. He stopped talking to me. He stopped acknowledging me. In any room we shared, he walked past me like I was furniture, and I kept going. I cooked, I
Good
cared for
evening.
Kian, I ran
Good
the
evening.
company, I studied, I built because breaking down was not an option. Kian needed me standing. So I stood. Every single day I stood. One morning I came downstairs and I found an envelope on the kitchen table. I opened it, divorce papers. I read them slowly at the kitchen table while Kian played on the floor beside me. He was laughing at something, playing with his toy car, making engine sounds, and I sat there reading papers that were ending my marriage while my son laughed on the floor. I folded them carefully, put them back in the envelope, and I went to make breakfast for my son.
Drake, I will give you access to everything. I just want our family intact for our son.
Sign everything into my name. That is the only option.
I went to him and I begged. I'm not ashamed of that. I love him. I truly love him. I told him I would give him everything, the cars, the house, the company income, anything he needed. I just wanted my family for my son. Drake looked at me with something close to contempt. He said, sign everything into my name. That is the only option. And I heard my father's voice from his last days saying, do not sign anything in his name. I'm afraid of what he will do to you if everything becomes his. My father knew, even from his sick bed, my father knew.
Please listen to me. Forgive me for what I did. Don't turn away from me now.
One night, I woke him from sleep. I was kneeling on the bed beside him in the dark. I told him I would give him access to everything, cars, clothes, mansion, anything. I told him, remember we have a son. Please do not destroy this family. Dre sat up. He looked at me, kneeling in the dark beside him, and he said, I never planned to spend my life with you. This was never about love. My plans did not work, so I am leaving. Stop waking me up. He turned over and went back to sleep. I stayed kneeling there in the dark for a long time, alone, in the dark, in my own bedroom, kneeling for a man who was already asleep. He brought the pepper again. I was sitting in the living room. He placed them in front of me. I looked at them. My eyes filled with tears. I looked up at him and said, so because my face is not beautiful, you are leaving a good woman who loved you, who gave you everything, who stayed. Jake looked at me without flinching and said, I do not need your love. You are too plain for my liking. This was never going to work. I looked at him for a very long time. Then I looked down at the papers. I cried. The tears fell right on the page. Then I wiped them, sat up straight, picked up the pen, and I signed with a steady hand because if he wanted to, I was not going to beg anymore. I had already begged enough for one lifetime. The next morning, he packed his things. He moved back and forth, carrying bags to the car. I stood at the doorway, holding Ken on my hip. I watched him. I said nothing. When he was done, he got in the car. He did not look back, not once. The car pulled out of the compound. Ken waved. He is too small to understand. I pulled my son close. I held him tight, and I watched that gate until the car was completely gone. Then I kissed my son's head and I went inside and I closed the door behind me quietly, firmly for the last time. That same night, I put Ken down for his nap. I sat at my father's desk. I opened the company files. I picked up the phone. I called my team. I scheduled 3 meetings. I signed a contract I had been putting off and I walked through the afternoon, through the evening, through the quiet house that still smelled like him with the particular focus of a woman who has nothing left to lose and everything left to build. I was invited to present at a major business summit, the biggest company owners in the country, all in one room. I prepared for 3 weeks. I knew every number, every projection, every risk. On the day, I walked into that room in a simple outfit, no heavy makeup, no excessive jewelry, just me, my knowledge, and 45 minutes of everything I had been building in silence. The room was completely still throughout. When I finished, there was a pause. Then the applause began. Genuine, sustained, the kind that means something, the kind you cannot fake. He was in that room, Zane. I did not notice him at first. After the session, he found me in the corridor.
That was the most compelling presentation.
Thank you.
He asked if he could talk more over lunch. I said yes, just like that. And I remember thinking as we walked to that restaurant, he has not once looked at my face the way Drake used to look at it. He just looked at me like I am a person. And something about that felt so unfamiliar. I almost did not know what to do with it. We sat for 3 hours. We talked about everything: business, family, life, what it means to be something real. He asked real questions. He listened to the full answer. He laughed easily. He looked at me when I spoke. Really look. The way you look when you are actually interested in what someone is saying. I drove home afterward and I sat in my car outside my compound for a while, just sitting, feeling something I had forgotten was possible, something that felt like being seen, just being seen. He took us to a beautiful garden one Sunday. Kian ran everywhere, chasing butterflies, falling, getting up, running again. Zane caught him once before he fell into the flowers, and we both laughed at exactly the same moment. Then at the end of the afternoon, Zane stopped walking. He turned to face me. He reached into his pocket. He brought out a small box. He opened it. He looked at me and said, "I see you, Reyna, all of you. Will you marry me?" I looked at that ring. My eyes filled with tears, and I turned and I ran. Not because I did not want to say yes, but because nobody had ever done this before. Nobody had ever looked at my face and chose me anywhere. The shock of being chosen after so long of being hidden was more than I could hold standing. He ran after me. He caught up. He gently turned me around. My face was full of tears. He looked at me and said quietly, "I am not going anywhere. Take all the time you need. I'll still be here." I look at this man standing there with a ring still in his hand, telling me to take my time. No pressure, no conditions, no shame. Just I will still be here. And I thought, is this what it feels like? Is this what it was always supposed to feel like? He kept his word. He kept showing up at my house, sitting on the floor with Ken, playing like it was the most natural thing. At my office with food on late evenings. And when we walk outside, he walked beside me. Not ahead, not behind, beside me. He held my hands in public, without once checking who was watching. He introduced me to his friends as Reyna, with a warmth in his voice that made people smile because they even shook my hand. And every time he did that, every single time, I thought of that Sunday afternoon when another man told a neighbor I was just someone going the same direction, same woman, two completely different men. And I finally understood the problem was never me. One evening, I looked at him across the dinner table and I asked him directly, "Are you not ashamed of my face?" He put down his fork. He looked at me and he said, "Reyna, I see your face every day. Your face is the face of the most intelligent, most resilient, most real woman I have ever met. Your face is the face of someone who survived things that would have broken most people and came out building. I'm not ashamed of your face. I mean all of it." I looked at him for a long time. Then I nodded slowly, like something deeply broken was finally beginning to heal.
Will you marry me, Reyna?
Say yes. Say yes!
He came to my office with flowers and Ken dressed in a tiny suit. My entire staff was there. He walked to the center of the office and he knelt right there in front of everyone, every courageous, every staff member, everyone who had watched me walk quietly and wondered what my story was. He asked me again. The office went completely silent. Then people started nudging each other, smiling. Someone whispered, "Say yes." Then someone else. Then the whole office was giving me signs, nodding, eyes wide, joy everywhere. I look at all their faces. Then I look at Zane on his knee and I said, "Yes." The office erupted. Zane stood up, put the ring on my finger and hugged me immediately. The kind of hug that says, "I've been waiting for this." And King clapped his little hands, not knowing why, but feeling the joy in the room. And so did I. Finally, so did I. The traditional marriage was everything. The compound was full of people, color everywhere, music everywhere. My mother chose my fabric herself, rich and beautiful. I was dressed from head to toe in the most beautiful I had ever worn, and I was radiant, not because anything about my face had changed, but because I was being celebrated fully, publicly, joyfully, for the first time in my life. Zed sat beside me at the high table, holding my hand. He did not let go all evening, not once, not for one moment. Zed stood to give his speech. He looked at me first, then at the crowd, and he said,
I want everyone in this compound to know something. I did not find a consolation prize. I did not settle.
I did not find a consolation prize. I find the most complete woman I have ever met. She's brilliant, she's real. She makes every room better, simple by being honest in it. I thank God for the path that brought her to me, and I promise her, in front of all of you, that she will never walk behind me, not one step, not one day. We walk together side by side for the rest of our lives. The crowd applauded. My mother covered her mouth with her wrapper. Someone in the back was crying, and I look at my husband, my real husband, and I smile the full smile, the unguarded one, the one nobody in my first marriage ever earned. Jake heard about the marriage through a mutual friend. He was sitting alone in a small rented apartment when the news reached him. He pulled up a photograph online, our traditional marriage, me growing, Zane beside me holding my hand, Kian between us laughing at something, my mother behind us with the proudest expression a mother can wear. Joe stared at that photograph for a long time. Then he put his phone face down on the table and sat alone. In the quiet of everything he chose to throw away. I did not feel joy when I heard this. I did not feel satisfaction. I just felt the particular piece of a woman who no longer needs anyone to understand her worth because she never stopped understanding it herself. We built a life that is full and real. We go everywhere together. His hand is mine, my head sometimes on his shoulder. Care running ahead of us both. Zen is proud of me in every room, every event, every conversation. When people compliment him, he says, "Thank my wife. She's the one you should be talking to." One evening, we sat on our veranda watching Care playing in the garden below. The sun was going down, the light was golden, everything was warm, everything was quiet. Zen took my hand, he said nothing. I leaned my head on his shoulder, I said nothing. But in that silence, there was everything, everything I survived, everything I built, everything I deserve all along. And finally, everything I have. My name is Reyna. He was ashamed of my face, so I kept it down. I kept myself small. I stayed inside while they celebrated my son without me. I signed papers with tears still wet on the page. I watched him leave and said nothing because some people are not worth the sound of your voice. But then someone came and he walked beside me, not ahead, not behind, beside me. And he said my name is Rooms, like it was something worth saying. And I knew that the problem was never my face. The problem was I gave my face to someone who never deserved to look at it. My name is Reyna, and I was never ugly. I was just in the wrong hands until I wasn't.